Hello, thank you for joining with me. We are reading with the Course Companions group. This is section 4 of chapter 23, The Escape from Conflict, and this is 4 above the battleground. And if you'd like to close your eyes and join me in prayer. Dear Father, if left to my own devices, my perception will be skewed. I surrender to you everything that I think and feel. God, please take my past, plan my future, send your spirit to redeem my mind that I might be set free. May I be your channel, God, and serve the world. May I become who you would have me be, do what you would have me do, go where you would have me go, and say what you would have me say, and to whom, dear God. God, please allow me an open mind for a new experience with all things. Thank you, God. Amen. Okay, section 4, above the battleground. Is it not true you do not recognize some of the forms attack can take? If it is true, attack in any form will hurt you and will do so just as much in another form which you do recognize, then it must follow that you do not always recognize the source of pain. So let me repeat that. Is it not true you do not recognize some of the forms attack can take? If it is true, attack in any form will hurt you and will do so just as much in another form which you do recognize, then it must follow that you do not always recognize the source of pain. Attack in any form is equally destructive. Its purpose does not change. Its sole intent is murder, and what form of murder serves to cover the massive guilt and frantic fear of punishment the murderer must feel. He may deny he is a murderer and justify his savagery with smiles as he attacks. Footnote 15. As the next sentence implies, he is putting on a smiling face while he attacks, not just to hide his murderous intent from the other person, but mainly to hide it from himself. The point of that sentence is that this doesn't work. At some point, his real intent arises to awareness. Yet will he suffer and look on his intent in nightmares, where the smiles are gone and where the purpose rises to meet his horrified awareness and to pursue him still. For no one thinks of murder and escapes the guilt the thought entails. If the intent is death, what matter the form it takes? Is death in any form, however lovely and charitable it may seem to be, a blessing and a sign the voice for God speaks through you to your brother? The wrapping does not make the gift you give. An empty box, however beautiful and gently given, still contains nothing, and neither the receiver nor the giver is long deceived. Withhold forgiveness from your brother, and you attack him. You give him nothing and receive of him but what you gave. Salvation is no compromise of any kind. Footnote 16. Compromise in this context means to compromise between love and murder, especially by expressing murderous content in a loving form. Murderous content in a loving form. That this is the meaning of compromise here is made clear later in the paragraph, where it says that you can attack a little, love a little, given that love holds everything you want, and attack merely brings suffering. To mix love and attack is to compromise in the usual sense, to take a little and give up the rest. See next sentence. To compromise is to accept but part of what you want, to take a little and give up the rest. Salvation gives up nothing. It is complete for everyone. Let the idea of compromise but enter, and the awareness of salvation's purpose is lost because it is not recognized. It is denied where compromise has been accepted. For compromise is the belief salvation is impossible. It would maintain you can attack a little, love a little, and know the difference. Thus it would teach a little of the same can be different and yet the same remain intact as one. Does this make sense? Can it be understood? This course is easy because it makes no compromise, yet it seems difficult to those who still believe that compromise is possible. They do not see that if it is, salvation is attack. Footnote 17. This seems to mean that if we find salvation by attacking a little and loving a little, then salvation is attack, and not just attack on others, for attack on them is an assault on our own peace of mind. So, if salvation involves a compromise between attack and love, then salvation is synonymous with attack on ourselves. Yet it is certain the belief that salvation is impossible cannot uphold a quiet, calm assurance it has come. Forgiveness cannot be withheld a little, nor is it possible to attack for this and love for that and understand forgiveness. Would you not want to recognize assault upon your peace in any form? If only thus does it become impossible that you lose sight of it. It can be kept shining before your vision, forever clear and never out of sight, if you defend it not. Those who believe that peace can be defended and that attack is justified in its behalf cannot perceive it lies within them. How could they know? Could they accept forgiveness side by side with the belief that murder takes some forms by which their peace is saved? Would they be willing to accept the fact their savage purpose is directed against themselves? No one unites with enemies or is at one with them in purpose, and no one compromises with an enemy but hates him still for what he kept from him. Mistake not truce for peace, nor compromise for the escape from conflict. To be released from conflict means that it is over. The door is open, you have left the battleground. You have not lingered there in cowering hope that the battle will not return because the guns are stilled and instant and the fear that haunts the place of death is not apparent. There is no place of safety in a battleground. You can look down on it in safety from above and not be touched, but from within it you can find no safety. Not one tree left standing still will shelter you. Footnote 19, see Cameo 28, the blue-gray bird. Not one illusion of protection stands against faith in murder. Here stands the body, torn between the natural desire to communicate and the unnatural intent to murder and to die. Think you the form that murder takes can offer safety? Footnote 20. We think that if we express our murderous intent in a loving form, then we have kept ourselves safe from guilt. The point here is that this is not true. As the next sentence says, can guilt be absent from a battlefield? Can guilt be absent from a battlefield? Do not remain in conflict, for there is no war without attack. The fear of God is fear of life and not of death. Yet he remains the only place of safety. In him is no attack, and no illusion in any form stalks heaven. Heaven is wholly true. No difference enters, and what is all the same cannot conflict. You are not asked to fight against your wish to murder, but you are asked to realize the form it takes to conceal conceals the same intent. And we're going to go to footnote 21. In other words, rather than fighting against your wish to murder, you need to simply look honestly at the wish, realizing that it is the same whether it is hidden in a loving form or expressed more openly. And it is this you fear and not the form. What is not love is murder. What is not loving must be an attack. Every illusion is an assault on truth, and everyone does violence to the idea of love. Every one, being illusion, does violence to the idea of love because it seems to be of equal truth. What can be equal to the truth yet different? Murder and love are incompatible. Yet if they both are true, then they must be the same. Then must they be the same and undistinguishable from one another. So will they be to those who see God's Son a body. For it is not the body that is like the Son's Creator, and what is lifeless cannot be the Son of life. I'm messing up a lot. Cannot be the Son of life. How can a body be extended to hold the universe? Can it create and be what it creates? And can it offer its creation all that it is and never suffer loss? God does not share his function with the body. He gave the function to create unto his Son because it is his own. It is not sinful to believe the function of the Son is murder, but it is insanity. What is the same can have no different function. Creation is the means for God's extension, and what is his must be his Son's as well. Either the Father and the Son are murderers, or neither is. Life makes not death, creating like itself. The lovely light of your relationship is like the love of God. It cannot yet assume the holy function God gave his Son, for your forgiveness of one another is not complete as yet, and so it cannot be extended to all creation. Each form of murder and attack that still attracts you, and that you do not recognize for what it is, limits the healing and the miracles you have the power to extend to all. Yet does the Holy Spirit understand how to increase your little gifts and make them mighty. Also, he understands how your relationship is raised above the battleground, in it no more. This is your part, to realize that murder in any form is not your will. The overlooking of the battleground is now your purpose. Be lifted up and from a higher place look down upon it. From there will your perspective be quite different. Here in the midst of it, it does seem real. Here you have chosen to be a part of it. Here murder is the choice. Yet from above, the choice is miracles instead of murder, and the perspective coming from this choice shows you the battle is not real and easily escaped. Bodies may battle, but the clash of forms is meaningless, and it is over when you realize it never was begun. How can a battle be perceived as nothingness when you engage in it? How can the truth of miracles be recognized if murder is your choice? When the temptation to attack arises to make your mind darkened and murderous, remember you can see the battle from above. Even in forms you do not recognize, the signs you know. There is a stab of pain, a twinge of guilt, and above all, a loss of peace. This you know well. When it occurs, leave not your place on high, but quickly choose a miracle instead of murder. And God himself and all the lights in heaven will gently lean to you and hold you up. For you have chosen to remain where He would have you, and no illusion can attack the peace of God together with His Son. See no one from the battleground, for there you look on Him from nowhere. You have no reference point from which to look, where meaning can be given what you see. For only bodies could attack and murder, and if this is your purpose, then you must be one with them. Only a purpose unifies, and those who share a purpose have a mind as one. The body has no purpose of itself and must be solitary. From below it cannot be surmounted. From above, the limits it exerts on those in battle still are gone and not perceived. The body stands between the Father and the heaven He created for His Son, because it has no purpose. Think what is given those who share their Father's purpose and who know that it is theirs. They want for nothing. Sorrow of any kind is inconceivable. Only the light they love is in awareness, and only love shines upon them forever. It is their past, their present, and their future, always the same, eternally complete and wholly shared. They know it is impossible that their happiness could ever suffer change of any kind. Perhaps you think the battleground can offer something that you can win. Can it be anything that offers you a perfect calmness and a sense of love so deep and quiet that no touch of doubt can ever mar your certainty, and that will last forever? Those with the strength of God in their awareness could never think of battle. What could they gain but loss of their perfection? For everything fought for on the battleground is of the body, something it seems to offer or to own. No one who knows that he has everything could seek for limitation, nor could he value the body's offerings. The senselessness of conquest is quite apparent from the quiet sphere above the battleground. What can conflict with everything? And what is there that offers less and could be wanted more? Who, with the love of God upholding him, could find the choice of miracles or murder hard to make? And now I will read Robert Perry's commentary on the conclusion of Chapter 23, The Escape from Conflict, Section 4, Above the Battleground. This is Robert Perry's commentary, day 277 of the Course Companions reading schedule, Above the Battleground. This is such a powerful and important section. It deals with the crucial issue introduced yesterday of us disguising attack in a seemingly positive form. When we hear the Course going on and on about our attacks, do we relate to it? If not, this is why. It's not because we don't attack very much, it's because we disguise our attacks. We dress them up as something more benign. I mean this in a nice way, which you can tell by the fact that I'm smiling. This is for your own good. Someone needs to maintain order around here. I'm not trying to hurt you, I'm just defending my peace. By the time we have employed all these excuses and disguises, we barely attack at all, right? We think we are trying to keep our attacks from being recognized by others, but first and foremost, we are trying to keep our attacks from being recognized by us. Attack, by definition, is an attempt to harm. Jesus puts it more bluntly. Its sole intent is murder. Think of the pain of realizing you have the intent to murder. No one wants to look at that, and so we find 1,000 ways to tell ourselves that our intent was more redeeming. We were being nice, thoughtful, just, reasonable, etc. All of this is an attempt to protect ourselves from the awful pain of guilt. The message of this section is that none of this protects us, not even a little. Somewhere inside we are quite aware of our intent, and so we don't escape the resulting pain, not even a little. The problem is that we don't have a clue where this pain is coming from, and so we can't solve it. Could this be the situation we are in right now? However, we think we have solved it, and so we stay on the battleground. Why not? We are not just out for blood, we tell ourselves. After all, we have stretched in our brother's direction. We are playing nice now. Yes, we still want to throttle him, but we will make sure that when we speak to him, we put on a good face and force kind words out through our gritted teeth. Surely that's good enough. That way we can stay on the battleground, hoping to scoop up the spoils, and at the same time tell ourselves that we don't have the heart of a murderer. It's a win-win. No, says Jesus, it's a lose-lose. There's nothing worth winning on the battleground, and we still live in the pain of feeling like a murderer. As long as we stay on the battleground, nothing can protect us from that pain. Well then, what does Jesus want us to do? He actually gives us a series of practical steps. First, rather than fighting against your wish to murder, you need to realize that those loving forms of attack conceal the same intent. You need to face that underneath your smiles is the intent to murder. This will put you in touch with the fact that murder in any form is not your will. How then do you express your will not to murder, to not murder? When the temptation to attack rises to make your mind darkened and murderous, remember you can see the battle from above. This does present a problem. He has told you repeatedly that you don't recognize your attacks. You are so accustomed to blending attack and love that you literally cannot tell the difference between them. Yet he has an answer, even in forms you do not recognize. The signs you know. There is a stab of pain, a twinge of guilt, and above all, a loss of peace. It's not the outward appearance of your behavior that tells you it's unloving. It's the way it makes you feel. In both cases, then, when you feel the urge to attack and when you feel the loss of peace over a nice behavior, what you do is this. You rise above the battleground and then quickly choose a miracle instead of murder. This means you quickly choose to give this person a miracle rather than murder him. The image of rising above the battleground is, of course, the central image of this section. The image, as we'll see in Cameo 28, is that your mind is like a bird. Even while your body remains on the battlefield, your mind can lift off and soar higher and higher, circling effortlessly, far above the ground below. Being above the battleground has multiple shades of meaning. It can't touch you up here. It means you are seeing it from a higher perspective, from which it looks small and insignificant. It means that your reality is no longer the battle. It is basking in the sunshine of your Father's love. To make this more practical, please think about a situation in which you have the urge to attack. Realize that you are harboring the intent to murder, which causes you anguish. Then repeat these lines. Though my body is here, my mind is looking down from a higher place. My mind in soaring the quiet spear above the battleground. This battle now seems remote and meaningless. I have lost the wish to murder. I choose to give you a miracle of love instead. Thank you so much for joining with me, day 277, section 4, above the battleground. I love you. Have a beautiful day.